Let's continue with the last example. Here I can print the data type. What type of the value this array is storing. You can see it is integer. Now if I modify this value to float value, now everything will become float. You see here 64. Now I'll print this array and you can see the difference. See here 12 point. There are some functions we can call on this using this NumPy. So I can use np dot, let's call square root. Here I can pass this array. Now this will give the square root of this array, all the values. See here 400, 10, 144, 12. Okay, it's 144 point something. So it's returning that. Now let's run this. See here 12, 6. This is a square root. Or I can use sine, cos, all these functions are there. And pass this array. Let's comment this part. I'll run this. So it will find the sine value. Let me give here 90 and here I'll give 0. See here 0 and this value. So there are different functions we can call on this array. Next is we can perform some operations. For example, here I can multiply with another array. So I'll use this array only. So what I'm doing here, I'm multiplying with the same array. You see the value here 12 into 12, 0 into 0, so 100 into 100. Or we can do addition, subtraction, all these operations we can perform which are varied in, see that, of course it will be 0 only. You divide. Okay, no, not this way. You have to divide with some value. So let's divide all the value with 10 and see the output here. So we can perform these operations. Now what if I have to generate this array? So again we have very simple approach here. Let's create an array. Now using this NumPy I can create zeros. See, call this function zeros and here we specify the shape. I want 10 elements. Let's store in this variable and I'll print this array. Now this will create an array with all the values 0. See here. So here we specify the shape. Now I want two-dimensional array. I want let's say 3 by 4. So 3 rows, 4 column of zeros. Let's run this and see the output here. 3 rows, 4 column. So very easy to generate an array. Now instead of 0, I'll use another function once. So same concept. Here also we can create an array, but this time it will generate all the value once, not 0. Now I'll pass 2 by 6. So it will create 2 rows and 6 columns with all the values 1. But see the type here. It's decimal. So it will be a, let's print the data type here. Okay. Data type float value. So very easy to generate an array. Zeros, ones. Now let's see one more powerful function which we use most of the time to generate an array, and that is arrange. See here, arrange. Now see the parameters here. We have to pass. Let's pass only one parameter, and then I'll print this array and run this. See here. This is almost similar as the range. We have done the range function, right? So start, stop, and step. So if I specify only one value, it will start from 0 till 9. But here I'll print the type. Okay, this is not a list. Don't confuse with this. Let's print the type here and see this is an array. So here we can start. Let's start from 10 and I want to go till 100 and the step is 10. Now let's run this and see. This is an array. Now let's so this arrange function is very useful to generate an array, and there is one more function which we can call to change the shape. So we can reshape this. Now right now it is one-dimensional array. So how many elements are there? There are 9 elements. So let me do one thing. I'll just change it to 0. Now we have 10 elements. Now I'll reshape it. So this reshape function is very useful to change the shape. Now instead of this one-dimensional, I want two-dimensional array. So let's call it maybe 2 by 5. So 2 rows, 5 columns. Let's run this and see here. First row, second row, and 5 columns here. This is an array. So reshape function is very useful when we can combine this arrange function to generate an array and then change the shape. Now let's call another function. We can use transpose. Okay, so np dot transpose, and I'll pass this array. Let's run this. Now transpose will convert rows into column and column into rows. Here, now rows become column and column will become rows. Simple mess. So you can use these different functions. See that append, cos, max. Okay, one more is there, identity matrix. Let's discuss about this. I can create identity matrix here. So with the help of if, and here we specify the shape. Let's print this array, run it. And see, this is our identity matrix. 1, 1, 1, other are zeros diagonally. Now you can see here how NumPy is very useful to create an array, and we can perform different operations. We can multiply, divide, square root, sign. You can find the shape. You can change the shape of this with the help of reshape. You can transpose. You can arrange, and so on. So rest of the functions you can explore yourself. 1 second, here you can see, right here random. What you can do, just call help if you are not able to understand. Simple. This is what we have done right till now. Now you are comfortable with Python, so you can explore more. And okay, see the documentation. Anyway, okay, so you can try rest of the functions.